Saw the duel of the fates and how Maul killed Qui-Gon but was defeated just moments later by Obi-Wan Kenobi. However, to keep his promise to Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan took it upon himself to train Anakin in the ways of the Force for the next 13 years until he eventually fell to the dark side. But what if things were different? What if Qui-Gon never died, and even more than that, what if he was the one to train Anakin? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins during the climatic duel between Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul. However, as the two Jedi were fighting up against Maul, Maul made a tactical decision that would give him a huge advantage in this fight. Out of nowhere, he kicked Obi-Wan off the ledge, which knocked the young Jedi Padawan out of the duel. Because of this, it now allowed Maul to have a 1v1 isolation against Qui-Gon Jinn, which is exactly what he wanted. As he and Qui-Gon then clashed lightsabers, they got closer and closer to the generator room, with their sabers going back and forth. However, this is where our story is different from the original. As Obi-Wan picked himself back up, he watched his master go back and forth against the Sith Lord, and it started to concern him. The original plan was for them to take Maul together, but now that Qui-Gon was fighting him all by himself, Obi-Wan knew that he wouldn't be able to keep up. Although he had confidence in his master, he knew he was a lot older than Maul, and because of that, fatigue would get the best of him eventually. To him, there was no way he'd be able to last against such a young athletic warrior like Maul, so he knew he had to do something about it. His master needed help more than ever, and so Obi-Wan then made a very risky decision. To catch up to the two of them, he used a Force ability called Force Speed, the same one we saw him use earlier in the film. He knew that by using this ability, it would make him extremely fatigued afterwards, but it was worth the risk. He couldn't let his master take this fight on his own. He refused. So, with the extra speed granted by the Force, before he knew it, he was able to catch up to the two of them before the red gates then closed. This was good because that now gave Obi-Wan a small chance to breathe, and after what he just did, he needed that more than ever right now. Unfortunately, because of him using Force speed, a lot of his energy was drained, and he wasn't sure how much longer he'd last. As the two Jedi stood behind the gates, Obi-Wan was talking and bluffing, while Qui-Gon then went down on his knee. As Qui-Gon then closed his eyes, he sensed Obi-Wan's anxiety and asked him,
"Are you alright, Obi-Wan?"
"Yes, Master. We'll take him together this time."
Qui-Gon nodded, and before they knew it, the gates then opened. The two Jedi then rushed towards Maul right away, and the duel continued. However, this time though, Maul quickly realized that Obi-Wan was the weak link here, and so he'd do whatever he could to isolate him instead. So, in a highly calculated move, Maul then knocked Qui-Gon's saber out of his hands, and to get him out of the fight, he then kicked him right to the ground. With that small window, Maul then rushed towards Obi-Wan, and into two fast sabers, Maul used all his focus and energy to overwhelm the Jedi. No matter how hard he tried, Obi-Wan couldn't keep up. Exhaustion was getting the best of him. He tried so hard to match Maul's saber attacks, but he just couldn't go on. Then before he knew it, he saw a flash of red right before his eyes, and then, with one swift strike of his saber, Maul delivered a killing blow to Obi-Wan right through his chest. It was done. Obi-Wan Kenobi was defeated. As Qui-Gon witnessed his Padawan fall to the ground, he then screamed in horror.
No!
Wasting no time, Qui-Gon quickly force-pulled his saber from the ground and then went in to attack Maul. Although Maul's confidence was at an all-time high, Qui-Gon wasn't going to go down without fighting. With Obi-Wan now gone, he knew he had to defeat the Sith Lord to protect both the boy and the galaxy. Qui-Gon knew that if he died alongside Obi-Wan, Anakin's future would be doomed, and without him, the Council would never accept him as a Jedi. This boy was the one who would bring balance to the Force, and so Qui-Gon knew he had to do whatever it took to protect him. So he then clashed back and forth with Maul, and he only had one thing and one thing on his mind only: Anakin. That boy was his reason to keep going, and he was gonna let nothing stand in his way. Then Qui-Gon finally got his chance. Channeling all his strength, he then used his saber to undercut Maul, and out of nowhere he sliced him in half. It was over. Darth Maul was defeated. As Maul's body was cut in half, two pieces of him fell down the reactor shaft and disappeared into the abyss. Although Qui-Gon let out a big sigh of relief, this moment didn't last for long, as he then rushed over to Obi-Wan's body. Picking up Obi-Wan, he was struggling to breathe.
"Master, you did it."
Stay with me, Obi-Wan. I've got you. Don't let go.
"Master Qui-Gon, I'm sorry. I failed you last time. I'm so sorry."
With one last breath, Obi-Wan Kenobi was gone.
Obi-Wan? No.
A tear ran down Qui-Gon's cheek. He fell numb inside. In that moment, he was filled with nothing but regret. If only he had done things differently and was never kicked down, he could have saved him. In his eyes, this was all his fault. Throughout all their years together, he always protected Obi-Wan, but now he failed to. The one time Obi-Wan needed his help, he let him down. He couldn't help but feel guilty inside. Although we still have their differences, Obi-Wan was like a son to him. He loved him. Qui-Gon's comlink chimed. It was Anakin.
Qui-Gon, sir, we did it. We won, I think.
Anakin, where are you?
R2 and I are headed down back to the palace, sir. We should be there soon. Whoa!
Although Qui-Gon was filled with hurt, sadness, and regret, he now had a new purpose for living, and that was to do whatever he could to protect this throne. Now more than ever, Anakin Skywalker needed a father figure in his life, and he fulfilled that role.
I'll be right there, Annie.
Qui-Gon hung up. As he then rushed to the hangar, little Annie ran to Qui-Gon and gave him a big hug. He was ecstatic after blowing up the entire Trade Federation ship with R2-D2 and wanted to celebrate with Qui-Gon. But then he noticed something. He noticed that Qui-Gon was all by himself.